Hi, guys. Happy Friday and happy fifth call, day number 5 of Money as a Relationship Reimagined. So, today, what we're looking at is we're looking at the idea of money as your teacher or money as your student. Which resonates with you? Is money your teacher or is money your student? Meaning, does money always have to come with a lesson? Do you feel like all of the trials and tribulations that you go through with money are really preparing you for something? Do you look at money as something with which you have to learn from, right? Something that you have to obey. Some of those other things you think of when you think of a teacher, right? As someone you have to impress, right? As someone you have to butter up to, that you have to get a good grade from. What is that? And what are some examples that you can think of in your life that would mirror how that actually shows up in your life? So, for example, I'm always thinking about those moments in my life where I feel like I'm struggling, right? I'm struggling financially, or maybe I'm not as feeling as abundant as I'm used to feeling. Maybe I'm having one of those lulls, one of those energies, right? I kind of tap into that energy. I tap into that energy. And if I look, I always say, I don't know about you, but I always say, okay, what is this teaching me? What is this teaching me? What is this teaching me? And then I go through this laundry list of the reasons why I have to experience what it is that I'm experiencing. And I'll say, well, it's teaching me that I need to value money more, or it's teaching me not to be so frivolous with my spending. It's teaching me to be more structured in how I do my finances. And while all of that feels good to a degree, because then it gives a reasoning for maybe why you're going through what you're going through with money, the question to ask is that really contributing to you? Right? Now let's also flip it. How would you perceive money as your student? Right? If money was your student, how would you treat money? Would you say to money, okay, this is how you're going to be a proactive resource in my life and in the world. This is going to be a lesson that I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you, dear money, to listen carefully when I call your name, to make sure that you raise your hand, to ask if you need me to call on you. Ooh, what a completely different vibration and completely different energy that brings. I don't know about you, but it actually feels much, much more congruent and aligned for me to make money my student instead of money my teacher. Money as your teacher feels like an energy where you're placing yourself beneath it, right? Where money as your student is the awareness that you have to contribute something greater to it. Isn't that interesting? On this journey that we've been on all week, one of the awarenesses that I had that I don't think I spoke about here, because it was much later after the call, was like we were talking about like family the other day. And I thought, what if money was your baby? Money was your child, right? I'm going to get back to the teaching and the student in a minute, but I want to give you this awareness of what if money was your child or your baby, like your brand new baby? How would you treat it? How do you treat it? Do you coddle it? Do you love it warmly and affectionately? Do you want to give it the best life possible? Um, that would really, really felt so nurturing to me when I had that awareness. I was like, oh, yeah, but I don't really think I often would attach that energy towards money, right? But what if we did? What if money also, then that also is where money could then also become the student, right? Like as a child, you want the child to have the best, right? So you feel like every opportunity that you have to empower your child, you do. You give back to your child. You want to say, hey, listen, don't touch the burner because it's hot and you might burn yourself, right? So there's that energy too that comes along as well with being the parent and also being the teacher, right? And so what I'd like for you to begin to do today is to practice whichever one feels lightest to you. Maybe you are someone who feels like money is your student, or you are the teacher. Whichever one resonates with you today for you, I want you to do the opposite, just so you can have a different perspective on it, so that you can relax into what that might be like to have a different point of view. Remember what we're doing, this is like a lab. Okay, this workshop is like a lab. And what I want us to really, really get in this lab and this exploration is to to follow, to allow that energy that is the lightest to you to be the new awareness that you create around money, right? Remember, what is true for you is light, and what is heavy is a lie. Why do we do that? Why do we say that? Because oftentimes what is true for you might be very different for me. It might be heavy for me. And what is light for me might actually be heavy for you. So that's why we don't go into right and wrong and this and that, right? Good and bad, all those things. We feel into the energy of it. So for example, having money be my teacher feels very, very heavy, right? Whereas money being my student feels very light. So what 3 questions can you ask money and invite money to today that would create that new sense of relationship with money? So for example, one of the questions that I will ask today, with money being my student, I will say, what would you like to learn today? Wow. Ask money, what would you like to learn today? What do you get? Ask money, what would you like to learn today? It's interesting because the first awareness that I get is love. Money wants to learn love from me today. And then you can say, how do you learn best? Remember, we as students, we learn differently. How do you learn best? And I'm getting the awareness that money wants to be shown, right? It wants to be shown love. So remember, this is really going someplace really, really interesting, especially as we had the awareness about the baby just a minute ago. How best do you learn as a student, dear money? And what about, how about this? How can I give you, what would make you feel? How about this? What would make you feel like an A+ student today? And that I was a good teacher. I am a good teacher. Let's see what money has to say in that vein. So what I hear from money today is that money is saying, in order for it to know that it's a good student, I need to give it a gold star. So what is that? What does that mean, to give you a gold star? What I'm hearing is appreciation, right? Acknowledgement, right? I'm seeing like putting its name at the top of the board, like, oh, money, you get a gold star today, so that it can see its name on the board. It can see its gold star sitting in front of it. Right. And so what actions can I take today to acknowledge, to invite, and to invigorate and actualize that gold star for money? You know what it's saying? It's saying, you can call on me, right? You know how it felt like when the teacher called on you and you had the right answer? You felt so good when you shared it and the teacher was like, great job, Mary. You get a gold star, right? So I wonder what that would look like to call on money. I think to call on money would be to acknowledge its power, to acknowledge its individuality, to acknowledge its willingness to show up. Yeah, so I would say that money is asking me to value it and asking me to spend some today. Ooh, let's see. So, everything that doesn't allow you to have this type of relationship with money, where money is your student and you can teach money what you want it to do, what you believe it has the capabilities of, everything that doesn't allow that, let's just destroy and uncreate it, okay? And would you like to know what it looks like, tastes like, feels like, smells like, sounds like, and is in every single cell of your body to know that you are a valuable teacher to money, that you are a valuable, valuable resource to money? If you'd like that, say yes. And would you like to know what it feels like, looks like, tastes like, smells like, sounds like, and is to give your money a gold star? Cool. So, everywhere that you've decided that money is only good for teaching you a lesson, as your teacher, let's destroy and uncreate that. So heavy to me now. Now that I like really, 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 really lean into it, it feels like so incredibly heavy, right? It feels like also, what if I wanted to inspire money to have patience? What if I wanted to inspire money to have presence and trust? What do I have to do as a teacher to teach that to money? So, everything that doesn't allow that, for you to teach money presence, to you to teach money patience, boundaries. What would it take to have boundaries with your money? To teach money your boundaries? If you'd like that, say yes. I was reminded of something yesterday. I had this really, really sweet, these two sweet Dutch girls come up to me yesterday. I was just leaving the Albert Heijn, the grocery store, and they came up to me and they were like, "Do you have a minute?" And there was something about their energy that I really liked. Usually I avoid these people at all costs. But she showed up and she was so sweet. And she said that she was from this organization, kind of like the Rainbow Coalition, where she was working to raise money for LGBTQ rights all around the world, where LGBTQ rights were being um, in danger. And she was telling me everything that the organization went through. I knew she was going to ask me for money, right? And so I'm listening to her and I'm listening to her and I'm listening to her. And I'm asking, while she's telling me, I'm feeling very called to her mission and called to what she's sharing. And I remembered what we talked about here, and I decided to ask my money if my money would like to play with that organization. And then I asked her, I said, let me ask you, what would be a contribution for you guys today? And she said 15 euros. And she said, and it would be great. It would be amazing if you could support us with 15 euros a month. And I asked myself, I asked money, I said, does that feel light to you? And you know what money said to me? Money said that it enjoys helping others. It enjoys helping others and it enjoys taking on a different role, almost like a superhero type role. Think about when you were a kid and you were playing superheroes. I used to play Superman and tie a towel to my back and run around the living room, jumping off of things, thinking that I'm Superman. And I loved that. I loved that feeling, that sensation, just while I put on that costume. So when money said to me, I love taking on that role of helping others, I love being a hero, I love contributing to others in a different way, I thought, wow, that's something really incredibly fresh. And then I asked it, I said, does this feel like something you would like to be a part of? Not only did my money say yes, my money said, and I'll bring you even more. And so it also reminded me of very, very, very deep spiritual lesson. In so many religious, even spiritual, but I'll start with the religious places. They say that tithing is a way to really give back to God, to give back to the community, and to give back to your spiritual community so you can sustain it and you can build it. And so that 10%, it says that you should donate 10% of your earnings and call it a tithe to the church. right? Meaning it helps the church. And also you're taking a part of what you have earned and you're sharing it with the spiritual foundation that supports you and nurtures you. And it was always a concept that I really loved, but I didn't wholly trust. I thought, and I've gone through waves where I did tithe. I tithed to my temple for a long time. I tithed, many different places. And I thought, ooh, I don't really know or trust where my money is going. And so my money kind of pulled back from that. And I realized yesterday, when these girls were asking me this, I thought that is almost like a way of contributing in that tithing energy. And it says spiritually that that you give away your 10%, right? And you get even more, right? But it's like peeling off a piece of bread so that the yeast can rise even more, or the dough, right? Peeling off a piece of dough so the yeast can rise even more. Or for those of you ladies, when you go to get your hair cut, you notice you cut off the ends. Why? So your hair can grow. It's the same kind of concept, that if you are using that and dedicating and delegating that money to helping others, doesn't have to be a set amount. If you're delegating that energy, if you're teaching money that this is your job is to go and help this organization or these people or this initiative, then you also indicate that you want to do more of that. So bring me more money. And so everywhere that you go, oh, I can't do that right now. That seems like a lot, Daniel. That's absolutely crazy. Let's destroy and uncreate that. Okay. And what would it take? What would it be like? What would it feel like for you to finally embrace you as a powerful, potent, incredibly divine individual that contributes your sustenance and abundance to the world in a greater way? And so this is one of the ways we can use money to teach money to be a teacher, right? To teach money to be a teacher. Let's say that again. To teach money to be a teacher. What does that mean? It means that money then gets to say, hey, you know what? I want to teach you. I want to go out and I want to help you. So everything that doesn't allow your money to be the teacher that it wants to be in the world, once you assign and give it that, let's destroy and uncreate anything that doesn't allow that, please. So you follow what we're saying. We're saying, would you teach money to be the teacher? It's almost like educating teachers, right? Teach money to be the teacher so that it can go out into the world and teach others as you have taught it. Wow. So becoming really, really, really intentional with our money is so incredibly important, right? Remember that money often invites us to grow in the places that we resist. Listen to that carefully. Money invites us to grow and to learn in places we often resist, right? So if we're looking at money as the teacher, would you be willing to ask it to show you where you're resisting? Okay, so this is a different awareness, a different energy around money becoming your teacher, right? What if you taught money? What if you asked money as your teacher? Okay, so transforming the heaviness into lightness. What if you asked money, teach me how to receive more of you? Teach me what it is you love about being in my life. Teach me how to step into my gift of wanting to be more and share more with the world with my money. And that is a great place for us to end today, right? So some of our home play questions today are money awareness questions overall. I will drop them in the comments and in the chat today. What has, wait, hold on one second. What has money been trying to teach me that I have not wanted to see? What has money been trying to teach me that I have not wanted to see? What can money learn from me when I show up with presence and intention, leading as the student. If the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Where do I give my power away to money, and where do I hold it wisely? What truth becomes available when I allow money to be an ally in my evolution? So those are our awareness questions today. Thank you guys for being here. This is the end of week 1. Remember, there is no workshop Saturday or Sunday. We'll resume on Monday, looking at money as a verb, right? All the actions that you've decided that money is or that money isn't. So if you have already registered for week number 2, thank you. If you have not, please do so now so that you can join us next week for this really exciting continued adventure. And week number 3 is going to be all about money as energy, money as electricity, money as gravity, money as oxygen, which I'm really excited about, which I feel is like the cumulative awareness that we want to bring to everything. Okay, so thank you guys so much. Have a beautiful day, a miraculous day, and I'll see you very soon. Bye, everyone.